HIS educational content. Insight training. Insight is comprised of 3 abilities: understanding, analysis, and prediction. No matter the order of the insight, insight must take 3 steps. These 3 steps determine the level of insight. For thousands of years, humans have developed physical abilities to survive in ever-changing environments. Among them, sight, which is an important factor for survival, has developed more than any other function. The evolution of sight is not simply the evolution of the eyeball. It means the improvement of the overall visual capacity through the cooperation of the eye and brain. The differences in the level of understanding, analyzing, and predicting information among humans come from this comprehensive capacity of sight. Professor Na Ilju of the Department of Education at Seoul National University saw that judging, adapting, and utilizing the external environment with visual intelligence that combines external visual organs and the internal brain has a great impact on the overall intelligence of humans. According to Professor Na, the level of visual intelligence is divided into interpretation, operation, and creation. Interpretation is necessary for survival. The human brain attempts a difficult external interpretation of the environment, the height of things, the distance, the movement, the distinction between what really exists and what is reflected in the mirror, and the understanding of what is happening. Understanding is the result of an accurate interpretation of the outside world, and is the first step that must be taken to gain insight. When it comes to insight, the focus of understanding is the understanding of meaning. Understanding goes through literal, contextual, situational, and historical understanding. But the key is the ability to compare new information with the information of the past. For this to happen, the memory of past events is essential. When there were no computers, internet, or artificial intelligence, memory was also an important condition for insight. But now with the development of technology, you do not need to remember all the basic information or knowledge needed for insight. Critical thinking skills are essential to a high level of comparative understanding. Understanding is a step in insight, and critical thinking is a tool used at the level of understanding. Having an excellent understanding means to have a high level of understanding. It means that it has a high level of interpretation. An easy example is to see the differences between a single-celled organism with a simple nervous system that has one-dimensional memory, and a human with a complex nervous system that allows multidimensional memory and comparative understanding. Of course, the level of understanding varies between humans depending on the degree of training. Some people have a one-dimensional understanding of the world, such as in dots or lines, and some understand the world in 2-dimension space, while some understand the world in 3 dimensions with space and time combined. Furthermore, there are people who understand the world by freely going back and forth in the past, present, and future, as their power of thought has reached to understand the world in 4 dimensions, where the space of time is added. There is also another dimension. While some have only stayed at the level of literacy, others have a high level of understanding what is important at a complex level, such as understanding the intention through context, and understanding the context through the surrounding situation and historical environment. The highest and most complex dimension of understanding is introspection. This is because introspection, also called self-understanding, is a high-level comparative understanding that even understands oneself. That is understanding its surrounding objects. The human brain, after finishing a complete understanding through interpretation, either redraws visual data and objects in its head or classifies them based on physical or conceptual or relational aspects, and manipulates them intellectually. This process is called analysis, and it is a task of bringing up important things based on a meticulous and high-level understanding. To bring up important things, you must utilize the thinking tools that break, collect, classify, characterize, and connect. Two things determine which is important, and the first is logic. For example, the most important thing is human life. This is considered as important over time because it follows the logic that human life is the most important thing. The second thing that determines which is important is the context that surrounds the target of the insight. So, if you lack in the level of understanding in the prior step, the level of analysis will also be lacking. According to Professor Na, the brain that has completed the stage of interpretation, understanding, and manipulation, analysis, expands its intellectual power to the final stage, which is creation. This step is called prediction. This includes the ability to give shape to something that does not currently exist, or will be possible at any point in the future through drawings, music, or writing, to create a vision for the future of oneself and humanity, to reason logically and probabilistically, and to create fantastic ideas for business. Interpretation, understanding, manipulation, analysis, and creation, prediction, are the three abilities that produce knowledge that is beyond the limits of reality, and enable humans to go beyond the level of animals to gain insight. 1. Thinking skills are the viewpoint of the world. 2. Insight finds meaning in the world. 3. Differences in insight arise from the capability to extract meaning. 4. Meaning comes from the meaning of an individual object, such as the fact that a person is wearing glasses, or that a person is tall, etc., plus the meaning of the relationship between the individual objects. 5. Noise, meaningless meaning, must be filtered from the process of extracting meaning. 6. Thinking skills are important. It depends on how you see things and where you look for things. 7. Most of the meanings that an individual owns are not seen through simple sight. 8. To see beyond simple sight, you must see through your thinking skills. Inference. 9. To see the meaning of each. Diversity in thinking skills is required, and the characteristics of each thinking skill must be known. 10. The more thinking skills you have, the more likely it is that you will have more insight. 11. The higher the proficiency, the more likely it is to be insightful.